Coco, welcome.
Thank you.
U.S. Open, very familiar to you.
Yes.
Your thoughts on 2024?
Yeah, it's a new year for new opportunity. I'm really excited to be back here and have a great tournament. Obviously, coming in as defending champion is a little bit of pressure, but also more of a privilege because as my new motto is like, if you defend, that means you won something before. So I'm excited to be back here and hopefully have a good 2 weeks.
Great, thank you. Questions? Bill.
Hi, Coco.
Hi.
We're in the Billie Jean Tennis Center, obviously.
Yes.
A couple hundred yards away is a statue of Althea, and this stadium was named after a man who acted boldly.
Yes.
In our country, there have been a lot of developments recently, and an African-American has been nominated for the presidency by one of the parties.
Yes.
Could you share some of your thoughts about that, please?
Yeah, I think it is really incredible. No matter who you're voting for, who you stand for, it is really incredible to see how far this country has come and people of color and Black people in general. So it's really inspiring to see someone on that ballot. And yeah, honestly, it takes the works of many others to pave the way. And yeah, I'm excited that I'm able to see this in my lifetime. Because I know many others didn't get that chance to.
Chris Fudden with ESPN. You mentioned while in Paris you got to spend time with, Tara Davis-Woodall or Gabby Thomas. I'm curious, what did you learn from other women who are the best at their fields?
I think that what you're feeling isn't so isolated. Just being around elite athletes at what they do, the nerves, you realize, I guess nerves are normal, the pressures are all normal. It doesn't make them easier, but I think it helps you know that you're not carrying the weight alone. So I think I just learned that, and they're incredible people. So yeah, I just think I just learned the most thing, that everything that I feel, other athletes are feeling it in their sports, and they're obviously undisputed best at what they've done, especially this past Olympics.
Dave.
Hi. Tennis.com. Obviously, Cincinnati didn't go the way you wanted it to, so I'm just curious what went into the reset from then and preparing for this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I wanted to go in Cincinnati and win, but, I had more realistic things in my head just coming from Olympics and, switching surfaces so fast. So really the main focus was trying to be as ready as possible for here, which I feel like it was a blessing in disguise. I lost so early because I was able to actually train, which I hadn't been able to, and I do my best results when I come off a training block. So I was able to train for like a good week and a half, and obviously still have like a couple more days to do that. But the last couple of practices have gone really well, which before, like during Cincinnati, wasn't having great practices. In Toronto, wasn't having great practices. So here I'm having great practices, which doesn't mean I'm going to go out on the match and play great, but it does give you more confidence when you're actually practicing great, the week before a tournament. So, yeah.
Okay. In the back.
Levick Havas from Sportico. You've obviously been a part of a lot of night sessions here.
Yeah.
Do you think there's an issue with matches ending at 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m., both here and at the other slams? And if so, what would you do to address that issue?
Yeah, so I've never actually had a super late finish just because I've just been lucky that either the match will go super fast or anything like that. But obviously, I do think that finishing late can really ruin your tournament, and especially like on the guys' side when they if they go on at like 11 or 12. A max, maybe the longest the women's match will go is maybe 2 hours or 3 hours, but men's can go like 5. So I think for me, I think I heard that US Open this year is if you're going to start after 11, they're going to move your court. So I think that's a good initiative to start because you may win that match that day, but your sleep schedule and everything is completely messed up for the rest of the tournament. So it does put that person at a disadvantage. And so I think right now with that new policy, I think that's the best way to address it. And I mean, we won't know until we test a lot of things, but I think this is a good start.
Okay. Go Howard, Cindy, then the front row. Howard.
Hi, Coco. This tournament has video review on about half the courts for things like not ups or other calls along those lines. You, of course, at the Olympics and at the French Open had called for seeing that more.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any good reason why it shouldn't be at And would you like to see it at every tournament year-round? And
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No,
Continue.
sorry,
No, you
just-
continue.
Just to finish the thought, do you think going into matches, knowing that's there, might help you and other players not worry about those kinds of things affecting a match?
Yeah, for sure. I think, we're playing for too much on the line for that not to be a thing, especially when other sports have it where, maybe they don't even have as much of the resources tennis has financially. So I definitely think that, it should be, especially at the slams, it should be here in 1,000 tournaments. And obviously I would like to see it across all levels, but, I definitely would love to see at the highest of levels first. So it's US Open had it last year. I didn't have to use it, but hopefully I won't have to use it this year. But I think it's a great thing. And the worst is when you get apologized to afterwards, and it's kind of just like, thanks, but what is that gonna do for me now? So I think it'll just hold everybody accountable. I think there'll be a lot less player frustration and outbursts with that. So I'm excited. I hope to see it continue to expand on not just in this tournament, but all tournaments. And I think the fans would appreciate it too, because I think there's nothing more frustrated for a fan to go and see that happen to their player, and you're seeing that your player's right or wrong, and the player itself doesn't know. So yeah, hopefully, that continues to grow.
Cindy.
We know that you've met and spoken with Michelle Obama.
Yes.
If you had the chance to sit down with Kamala Harris, what would you want to discuss with her or ask her?
Yeah, I've only briefly spoke to her when she congratulated me for US Open last year. What I would ask her, maybe just her story, like her personal story growing up and how she got to this point in her life. Obviously I know just from watching her speeches and learning about her story, but I guess from a more personal perspective, because I know her mother was an immigrant, and just, I think anybody really, it's kind of crazy to see how a person can, be like one of us and then become the president of the United States or on the other vice president of the United States. So I think I would ask her just her story and how, what were the stepping stones to that point? Because I think at one point almost every kid said they were going to be the next president of the United States, and so it'd be cool to hear her story from her perspective and not, I guess, on the news and stuff.
Did you ever say that?
To her?
No, that you were going to be the next president of the United States.
I mean, I never wrote it because I knew I always wanted to be a tennis player, but I always thought, I don't know, I feel like as a super young kid, 4 or 5, I always, you see the kid, I don't know if any of you heard the kid president, and you're like, I want to be like him. So, yeah, I'm sure there was a thought in my head at that age that I would be the next president or the Queen of England or something crazy like that. But then you get older and you realize reality is not like that.
Okay. Matt, just a reminder, you cannot shoot from the seat. Okay, thank you. Matt.
Hi, Coco. Matt Futterman from The Athletic. So how have things been different coming back this year as a champion, and whether it's saying your name or your picture, or just are routines different at all?
Not really, because I feel like I was in a crazy position last year where there was a lot surrounding me before this, even before I was a Grand Slam champion. So had basically the same busy pre-week this week as I had last year pre-week of US Open. So I think that's what I mean, where it's it was a little bit easier coming into all of this as a Grand Slam champion because of the gradual rise I've had in the sport when it came to the amount of attention I was getting. So honestly, this week hasn't been much different other than people saying I'm the defending champion. But other than that, it's literally, I feel like it's been the same amount of attention, the same amount of, sponsor commitments and all of that.
Okay, last two. And then Willie, you have the last question.
How you doing? Adeshina Koiki, USOpen.org. You mentioned the mantra that you have now. If you're defending, that means you won something.
Yeah.
How recent was it that you came up with it? And also, compared to last year when you talked about how your doubters motivated you,
Yeah.
is that mantra the way you kind of motivate yourself more going into this year, outside of just wanting to win?
Yeah. Honestly, like a couple days ago, somebody commented on my TikTok, and the comment you said why stress yourself out over, it said you've won literally and figuratively, why stress yourself out over a victory lap. And I was like, that's actually a good perspective. No one can take that from me. So it's like, why stress myself over something that I already have, and then I'm just wanting to add to that, whether it happens here in 2 weeks or next year here or at Australia or whatever. There's no point. So I think that I saw that comment like 3 days ago, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna stick by that and use that, because it really changed my perspective coming into this. And yeah, I still use the doubters as motivation. I mean, I know people have said things about me online, and will continue to for the rest of my life. But I know it comes just out of a sense of, I don't know, maybe hatred or jealousy, I don't know. But for me, I never root on people's downfalls, regardless of who you are. I'll never root on somebody's downfall, and I'll always root for success. So I just wish the rest of the world or people were like that, which most of them are, but there's always like the 2% that, like to have their moment every now and then.
Willie, last question.
Hi, Coco. How
Hi.
would you describe the last year of your life since you won here?
Honestly, I hate to say it, but it's not as different as people think it's become. Like I said before, I think I just had such a gradual rise into this sport. Like, obviously, it hit the stone at 15 where everything, was coming at me fast. But ever since then, every year it's just been gradual. So I think all that time prepped me to better prepare for this moment, so I wasn't such a deer in headlights and everything wasn't so crazy. So I felt like I was being prepared for that. So that's why I'm grateful that, I don't know, some people thought I was going to win one at like 15 or 16, which is crazy. I wasn't going to do that. But I think that it just helped me prepare me for now. And so I think now coming in, I'm going to enjoy it. So yeah, I think my life hasn't been too different other than a little bit of more attention. But I feel like every year has been different because it's always been a gradual rise of attention. And I think next year, whether I win this or not, I'll still have maybe a little bit more of attention, just because that just seems the way my life is going, which is great because I can continue to use that platform to spread positivity, spread light, and spread good messages into the world. So I'm grateful for that. I'll never say that I'm not grateful for it, because I know this is what I wanted to do since I was young. And all of this is just a plus.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coco.
Thanks.